Hey, YusefWateef back in the game. Before I get to the nitty gritty, this channel has been growing, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's been tuning in, and leaving comments, and asking me questions. And I've been told I really need to get in the habit of always saying, before anything else, this channel has a little bit of different content. What I talk about, sometimes it's world travel and personal experiences, sometimes it's investing, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and money matters. But what I really made my bread and butter on with this channel that I really enjoy is when I have group conversations with my friends about lots of different issues. I try to do something like that every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I say that to say this. Make sure you click subscribe and the thumbs up button and the bell, just like everybody else. But unlike everyone else, I want you to try it for a month. If I'm not what you're looking for, don't clog your feet up. It's okay if you unfriend me, unsubscribe. But what I want you to do is click subscribe and let it go for a month and share this with somebody. Because you'll find something you enjoy or somebody that I bring on. I had an experience that I wanted to share to a wider audience that really left me in a awkward situation. Because if you read the description, I always tell people in high school and probably most of my life, up until right now, fortunately, I'm a nerd, a square, herd, L7. Kids who kept their nose in a book, the kids who weren't very popular, and I got bullied a lot. I mean, I got picked on, beat up. It was really atrocious. Fortunately, I had a few strong men in my life and a dad and a mom who told me that I just had to keep faith in what I was doing and just make it. And I left all that behind, and I hadn't thought about anything like this in decades until on social media, I got a notice friend request message from someone who used to bully me. Now keep in mind, when I say bully, I don't just mean your recreational bullying. I mean, I was threatened that if I got an A on the test, it would destroy the curve and they would beat me up again because there was a penalty for being smart, I guess. I'm glad I never listened. And I thought, this is interesting because the message that the bully sent me, he was talking as if we had been old friends in high school. And it was strange, but I decided I'll go for it and go with it. After 2 and 3 back and forths is when I got my heart broken. He said, "We always hated you because the teachers talked to you like you had a future." He said, "We always hated you because the teachers talked to you like you had a future." And on the one hand, yes, they did. I was always met with a lot of positive reinforcement. It breaks my heart that, and even now, this is hard for me to talk about, it breaks my heart that not all the kids, whether or not anybody believed it, weren't spoken to as if they had a future. As I rapidly approach maturity, and I have no children, most of my friends do, and I look at children, I realize they don't know very much, so they'll just believe what you tell them. I grew up with, and I understand one of the advantages I had was parents. My parents weren't great or bad. They were 50-50. Half the time they were excellent parents, half the time they were atrocious. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized, that's a lie, I didn't realize. My mom actually sat me down once when I came back from a trip somewhere, something to do with college, and someone that I had known in high school who had bullied me and she knew was a bully, she showed me something with an article, and this person had gotten to, and I don't want to be specific, they got into a lot of trouble in life and it ended very badly. She said, "Do you remember him?" I said, "Of course I do. One of the reasons I was glad to leave high school." She said, "Well, I remember when you would come home talking about how hard it was, and I would tell you that, well, maybe their life is harder than yours." And I would say, "Why do they pick on me?" But again, I'm a kid. I don't know any differently. As I became an adult, over time and over years, because I was born in a very small city, Niagara Falls, New York, it's actually downgraded to a town. Everybody knows everybody, but when you're a kid, you don't have access to that wider network. Almost all the people that treated me horribly, and I suspect treated other people horribly because I probably was not special in that regard, had awful circumstances in their childhood. People that I grew up with that had been abused, who had witnessed their parents do atrocious things, who had been exposed to drugs and alcohol in a way that, and I thought I had it bad, but I was never encouraged to use any alcohol. My parents drank too much. They were alcoholics, but it was kept well away from me because it was never presented to me as a good thing. Kids who watch their parents die of diseases. And as an adult, I realized, I mean, man, I had it so much better than most, even though I didn't have it great. And when that bully spoke those words to me that said, we always hated you because they talked to you, the teachers talked to you like you had a future, it gutted me because I saw so much of his future had been dictated by no one at home nor anyone in school had any faith in him. And when you're a kid, you don't have access to mature ways of handling pain, suffering. No one gives you resources. If you don't have a family that can support you, that's it. I say this because, and show this to somebody you know is getting bullied. If you got a kid or a niece or a nephew, at the end of the day, something that happened in probably the year 2000, because I was a freshman in high school, right? I was a freshman in college, right when the internet hit big. I remember we would have those AOL discs, put them in, and it would make all that noise. The nerds, the squares, the kids who spoke clear, correct English, we won in every possible aspect. The trick is we were always winning, but before the internet, you didn't know that. When I was a kid, when somebody left home, whether they went to college or the military or prison, you didn't hear much from them or about them, but now the internet connects everyone. And I realized going back to the beginning, the squares were always winning. You know, if you're out there going through it, hopefully you got somebody you can talk to. But if you don't and you end up watching this, remember, if you can just get through, you'll have an amazing life. I look back, oh, hey, you know what? Thank you. I love compliments. Flattery will get you everywhere. I hope you bring some friends to the channel. I hope you introduce this to a few people, because I don't do this because I'm a YouTuber, so to speak. Actually, let me show everybody what I do, because I do this during every video because I don't have a YouTube contract. If they want to offer me one, that's great, but I don't depend on someone else to eat. I was fortunate enough to be able to create my own business. I am let me go here for you. Let's see. I am an editor, copy editor, proofreader, and what I do is work with people who need, for example, a university level resume. If you need a paper or a book edited to university level English. I do some coaching for public speaking. I've done mentorship with young men who need help. Talk to me about that. But what I always tell people is no matter what it is, my name is YusefWateef. I'm the same person everywhere. When you go to look at me on LinkedIn, skip my resume. You can look at that later. That's actually not nearly as important. It's pretty impressive, but it's not nearly as important as go to the bottom. I want you to go to the bottom, and I want you to look at my recommendations, and I want you to go through and read all the things that other professionals have said about me. I want you to go back and look at what other respected individuals say about me, and that's what should convince you to say, maybe I can work with this guy. Then if you can't work with me, that's fine. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always glad to make new friends there. And that'll be my own personal little, let's see, BK from the Rockies. And BK Hey, I'm back. Yeah, we froze up on my end. And what I was going to say was I was going to read what BK from the Rockies shared with us. And what he said was, unfortunately, that type of hate or jealousy is common from folks who do not have their own path in life towards those that have their own path. Yeah, yeah. From what I've seen, that's absolutely correct. The problem I have is that when it's children, when you realize kids don't know anything other than what you tell them, and when people tell them that they have no future, or they realize that people don't look at them as if they have a future, as I become rapidly approaching maturity, that's what really hurts. And this is one of the most difficult parts of it is when he contacted me, when that bully contacted me to strike up a conversation, I had to go look at his profile and I had to really search who he was on Facebook because I didn't even remember him. I didn't know who he was, had no idea. Looked the same as we did in high school, but my life has been filled with so many other awesome people since then that it didn't even occur to me who he was anymore. Yet he had been carrying that with him for decades. Um, right after he said that, right after the bully who contacted me said, "We always hated you because the teachers spoke to you like you had a future." Right after he said that to me, he blocked me. And it was, yeah, it was hard. It was hard. I say that to say this: you never know what somebody else is going through, and this is hard to appreciate, but if you can just stay focused on what you need to stay focused on, away from the things that no matter how much they pressure you to break mentally to be like everybody else, especially if you can internalize these early in life, even if you're out of high school, even if you're an adult right now, be someone that bullies don't like. Be that person that has their shit together. Be that guy who is walking a straight and narrow path, because I'm telling you, as a square, I have access to everything in life. See, being cool doesn't translate everywhere in the world. Having focus on your education will. Being liked doesn't translate everywhere in the world. But being educated translates everywhere in the world. Being someone who doesn't carry horror stories about how awful it was for them and the things that they had to do to survive because they didn't pay attention in school. Those are stories we don't mind watching on YouTube from other people, but nobody wants to live it. So when a bully returns to your life, I don't care if you pass them in the supermarket. I don't care if they reach out to you on Facebook. Remember, they want to see whether or not they were right. They want to look at you and say, "We picked on you, we bullied you, and I bet you turned out to be nothing." But when you turned out to be something, or when you're turning yourself into something, or you can simply look at them and say, "I have no anger toward." And by the way, if anybody knows who this person is, if he's out there watching this, I forgive you for everything. I hold no animosity. Did I enjoy it growing up when I was a kid? Absolutely not. Do I think my mental stability would have been better having not been bullied? Absolutely. But I'm not angry. Hey, if you go back to wherever we grew up, tell him YusefWateef is okay. Tell him he holds no ill will towards anybody. If I see you on the street, I'll give you a high five because I made it. The nerds, the kids who were the squares, if you have nieces, nephews, kids, encourage them to be on that path and tell them something I didn't get to hear, or rather, it didn't really get through to me. They pick on you because they're jealous of you. See, when BK from the Rockies said that, he was saying the same thing my mom told me, same thing my dad told me, but I didn't get it. I didn't believe it until I was old enough to truly appreciate the other side of the coin. Thanks everybody for stopping in. I apologize for my stream going down real quick. I'm sitting here in the mall waiting for a client to have coffee with. I hope everybody out there has a great day. As I said, this channel is expanding, and it's mainly because of you. And I appreciate that people are bringing people to my channel. Encourage everybody to click the subscribe and the thumbs up button and the bell. We have a lot of diverse stuff we talk about. I go live quite a bit, but I'm guaranteed to go on Mondays, 2 p.m. Eastern, and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. As always, I'll bring lots of friends with me, and everybody is welcome to join. And love you all, and have a great